Hi, I'm Dr. Faranak Kamangar, and welcome to the Future of Dermatology podcast. We're here to talk about the real science behind skin, the medical breakthroughs, the cosmetic innovations, and everything in between.
Hi, we are back today with another heavy hitter guest. I'm going to read a little almost bio and see if you guys can guess who we have today. So he sent this, and I love this script. It starts out with a question. The question is, so what? And he says, answering that question is my real passion. So his real passion, figuring out the real practical take-home messages that we can get from medical literature, not just reciting the data or what the authors said, but synthesizing it and putting it in the context of how it can help patients. Basically figuring out what this study really means and how does this connect to what we're already doing. Then explaining it in a practical, relatable, entertaining, and memorable way. It's what I do in my lectures and it's what I do on my podcast. Here's a clue. The podcast is Derms on Drugs, which can be found everywhere on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And he says, my big passion outside of dermatology, outside as of 2026, is being an accelerationist. If you don't know what that is, it's someone who believes transformative technologies, AI, robotics, biotech, and energy are converging and compounding faster than most people appreciate. And that the right move is to lean into the trajectory rather than slow it down or hedge against it. So if you don't know by now who our guest is, I'd like to welcome Dr. Matt Zirwas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I am so excited to be here. Right. The other name for an accelerationist is a futurist. And so like future of dirt, like that could not be future of dermatology could not be. I couldn't have been more excited whenever
I'm
you invited
glad
me to
you
come on the
caught
show.
that. I'm glad you caught that. That was the vibe we were going for.
Yes, this is such a cool. I'm so excited to be part of the pod.
This is fantastic. And I was recently on your podcast and I was speaking to you early about this. It is one of the coolest podcasts I have ever been on or heard. You have exactly kind of what we said in the bio. It's yourself and your two best friends slash genius dermatologists who really delve into literature and articles. And it's like the so what? Like, okay, so all of these numbers and everything, but what does it actually mean? What's the practical use of all these things coming out? So I'd love to talk about any trends and things you guys have kind of talked about on the podcast recently. And a big one we talked about was AI. So that's another topic that I'd love to talk to you about and like be so what? What's going on in the AI space? Are we being taken over? So feel free to start anywhere in that. Love to get your thoughts.
So first, just in terms of the trend that I see it, because I love like reading the literature. Now, whenever I say reading the literature, I probably look at the titles of 100 articles a day. I probably read the abstracts of 3 and read one actual article every 2 days. But it's like just so much is coming out now, and it really the what is gotten to be interesting, there are these, uh, certain classes of articles. So Trinetics, there are now a bunch of those coming out all the time, and then there are these Mendelian randomization studies, and then there are these pharmacovigilance database studies, and all of them are total crap. Like, whenever they first like, the when it first came out, I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. We're gonna answer all the questions in the history of medicine with Trinet." They're worthless. Like, occasionally, there's one that's kind of help and so it's what I'm seeing is that as the number of journals proliferates and the amount that each journal is publishing proliferates, the quality is just plummeting. And its peer review is totally meaningless now, like just completely meaningless. And so and it makes people who do kind of what I do really more valuable because the question isn't. It used to be like, how do I get access to the information? Now we all have access to all the information. It's like of all of this fire hose, what's actually interesting? And then once, okay, oh, that's interesting. Then is it like believable? Like, is it actually, or is it like this is total crap? The amount of stuff that comes out that is like there was one article that said 70% of people with hidradenitis go into spontaneous remission. And I'm like, what? And this is published in JAMA Dermatology, right? Like a good journal. What they don't mention anywhere in the article is, I mean, they mention that it was done in Denmark, but it's only whenever you dig into the article, it was thin, rich white people. Like that was the whole population, right? Totally irrelevant to any HS person in thin, rich white people who have access to high quality socialized medicine. Okay, maybe those people, maybe 70% of people, it does go away, but it sure as hell doesn't go away in patients in America. And like it was just like that kind of stuff, just it so it's fascinating to me. That's the trend that I see is a huge volume of crappy literature coming out. And AI so far is not very helpful because it it goes into it believing that what the authors said is accurate. And so most articles, the authors came into it with a, "Here's what I think. Well, the data didn't support what I think, but I'm gonna find a way to spin the data so that I can still say what I think I like," and it's so it AI hasn't quite gotten to where, unless you say, unless your prompt is like you upload the article and say, "Tell me what is tell me what are the problems with this article? Tell me where the data doesn't support what the, authors said." But every article in the history of the world, like, you can find problems. So then you're left with, like, are those real problems or are they, like, made up problems? So that was a really long answer to what is, like, the trend that I see kind of in derm, uh, that's been most interesting to me.
I
Like,
love
is
it.
that
No, yeah. No, I completely agree too. Like I've also gone on this journey of kind of disillusionment with journal articles of the past few years. I have to say, so gosh, when did I finish residency? 11, 12 years ago, whenever that was. So you're reading the journals and you're reading it like it's the truth. And you're also like, I mean, like get tested on the boards on something. So you're really focused. And then out of residency, I was like, I'm gonna read my journals. And I'd go to journal club for a few years and things were really good. And then like 2 kids became 3, and then the Jad started collecting the dust.
Yeah,
The Jad and the
yeah.
Jamaderm and then I was like, "I'm gonna get
And
to you
getting
guys."
thicker and
Getting
thicker, like, the
thicker and
jet is
thicker,
now
and I'm
like
like, I'm gonna get in the derm worlds and everything, and I was like, I'm totally getting to these at some point. And then when we started building DermGPT a few years ago, then it was like, "Oh, I gotta do what you're intuitively doing, hundreds of articles every day, really digging in." And then when you really do that systematically and try to mine the data, you realize how much crap there is out there. And, like, the first thing we did was, kinda similar to all the other medical LLMs did, like, "Oh, we're gonna just attach a API to the National Library of Medicine, filter out for dermatology, and it's gonna be amazing." The answers were horrible, like, exactly what you said, the AI was taking it like truth and answering from these articles, and it was not good. Like, we had to then go through and really get rid of a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
So, it's kind of a crazy thing when you really
What
try to really
and
dig
that's
into it.
And you guys did such a good job with that, I mean, right? That's why I we had you on our podcast was there's this study that shows that DermGPT is way better than ChatGPT, right? If you ask DermGPT, which is a backbone of ChatGPT, the backbone of DermGPT is ChatGPT, but ChatGPT is doing what you just said. They're not like filtering what's good literature, what's bad literature, and so you get crap. It's defensible, but you guys have done such a good job of building in, a filter so that the stuff that it references is the, stuff that's actually useful, right? It's really cool. And for anybody, you don't have to be self-promotional or anything, like, if you haven't checked out, DermGPT, it is such a cool like, the stuff that you guys are building into it, the, like, thing that like, what's the thing that you could get wrong in this case that could get you sued? Like, what would be the right, uh, you know, appeal letter for this exact patient? And now you guys have built stuff for nurses now as well, right? That, like, not just for like, it's just really cool what you have built.
Oh my
Really
gosh.
cool.
Well, thank you. And I think we should probably spend the next 20 minutes just talking about DermGPT. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But thank you. Thank you for the wonderful comments. But I do feel like as we were just talking, I think I just had like a little revelation here. So we've had talks about how AI is going to take over and all of this and replace us. But I think I just had a moment where I realized where AI is its downfall, it's going off of all this stuff humans have put out on the internet. And I mean, we were talking about journals, which are done by smart people and then reviewed by another group of smart people, and they're not good. Imagine everything else that's like on the internet. I think that might be AI's downfall. It's going based on all the stuff we put out there that's not good.
Yes, 100%. It's I haven't seen anybody build a good BS detector AI yet, right? That'd be the because it should be kind of doable, but it's kind of what Musk presents Grok. That's what it's supposed to be. Is it just purely seeking the truth? But how do you like you you almost have to start somewhere with like I'm accepting this small things as gospel truth. And then, okay, we can build out the next layer beyond that. Does it okay, if it tracks with this, then that's what I'm gonna accept out of that layer, and then maybe try and build out from that as but you've gotta start with some core of this is truth,
Yes.
and it could be a very small set of first principles, but then build everything out from that, but you're still gonna lose over time, it's gonna degrade, step by step, you're gonna get a little more wiggle built in. So I don't know, it's something I actually think about a lot is like, how would you, uh, get an AI that is a critical assessor
Mhm.
of information? And because somebody said, I think, Altman said recently, and he was spot on with this, you know, as a human, like I think of myself, I think of you as a BGI, right? Biological general intelligence, right? People talk about AGI, artificial general intelligence, like, well, we're BGIs. It takes 20 years of training the model, right? So from birth, whenever we're born, is like, okay, we got to get our parameters down and our weights and whatever. And it's then 20 years of fine tuning. And it's still the case that most of us come out as idiots.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. And so it's like, I get, like, when there's a new model, like, every 3 months, how's it supposed to, like, have the chance to, like, test and figure out which people do I trust, which people don't, like, I don't know. I like, the epistemological idea of, like, what knowledge is trustworthy is hard. It's
It's
hard.
it's really hard, and then we've kinda seen the evolution of the GPTs too, like, they're like, "Oh, GPT-3 is great, we're gonna put a bunch more information in there, and then GPT-4 will be better," and the processing power got better, a little bit in the reasoning just because I had more to go off of, but then GPT-4 to 5 was kind of a flop, like, it started getting worse, the more and I don't know if they started out with maybe and more layers of truthful information, quote unquote, and then now they're really at the bare bottom of what's out in the internet, or if it's just like the more you add. But we know for like our types of like a RAG model, we start out with like 70,000 articles, and then you go down, you go down, you go down. And the sweet spot is probably actually around 5 or 6,000 articles, because otherwise you're getting semantic fatigue. It's just searching so much that it's going to come up with like some random thing and it'll grab, and that's probably happening to the larger models too. I mean, of course, they have so much more compute than we have. So, they could probably handle it. But there's a point where they're getting semantic fatigue. It's almost like the stuff you have is not good, like the data, the articles, or whatever they're getting off the internet. It can't all be valid truth. And then there's different truths, right? So there's all this different stuff. But there comes a point where there's just too much for the computer to be able to compute. So it'll just
Yeah.
grab something at random. Basically. So, yeah, there's a lot I mean, so, one of the things we were gonna talk about also is, do we think AI is gonna take us over or not? We had an episode with Dr. Feldman, Dr. Steve Feldman, and it was hilarious because I had all these arguments and we were gonna, debate, and his argument was like, "No, it's taken us over."
Yeah,
And
we're
then
done.
I would come back with all this stuff and he'd be like, it's happened." Like, it's like
There's no question we are done. So I give it 2 years to be on. Now we won't be done. Durham, we're actually we're very protected, uh, because it'll be 2 years for the thinking parts to be done. And the big advantage that nobody really wraps their head around very well is, like, they're each human will have its own AI agent that is its medical thing. They'll have 24-hour access. If you wanted to have a 2-hour visit with your AI dermatologist every day for the rest of your life, you could have a 2-hour visit with your AI dermatologist every day for the rest of your life. So it has unlimited time to spend with you as a patient. And then it's also your cardiologist, your nephrologist, you like, they and you have all the time in the world with them. And imagine where that goes with mental health, right? And I'm as a derm, we're like, what the hell am I going to do with an hour-long visit? Like, I don't need to talk about your acne for that long. But if you go to it with, like, and that same individual, and for anybody not watching, I'm using air quotes when I say individual, but that AI agent that is your AI agent that is the same one you get on with every time, it's also your therapist. And if you want to do therapy for 4 hours a day every day, you can do therapy for 4 hours a day every day. And it's going to know every therapeutic technique, right? Therapists, when you go to a good therapist, I've been to a lot of therapists, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm always learning new techniques. I just learned EMDR. Now I'm doing dialectic therapy. I used to be only do CBT." It will know every therapy. It will know every, and it, so, but just that time element and and the accessibility. So you and I were talking today about this telemedicine article that just came out that showed that when people did telemedicine visits, the amount of stuff that got ordered was much lower, less blood work, less radiology, less prescriptions, less everything, and and that tracked 100. So I kept doing, a lot of telemed visits after the pandemic was over, and I would just do them for free because I would just document it as a phone call because I'm like, "Look, what I learned was this, my, like, miserable, kind of challenging patients, when it's a telemed visit, because they didn't have to, like, get in their car, drive 45 minutes to see me, wait in the waiting room, sit there, wait for me, and then whenever I finally come in, it's like, it's all this built up effort and the what, and this is my one chance, and I'm gonna get into all, and I would just, and you need to fix something to do, and I need a script, and I need this, and could you, whereas if I did a telemed visit with that exact same patient, loop, it flips on, they're sitting on their couch, they're what they expect from me is so much lower. Like, the demand for do something, and I get it. It's not like they're intentionally thinking, do something, do something. It's just they took a day off work, they drove, like, something's better happened today. Whereas when it's just, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you know what, my hand, oh, it's still, yeah, they're still itchy and they're painful and it's awful and the whatever." And I'm, mm, initially when I'm doing telemed, I'm like, "Oh my god, what am I gonna come," and like, "Yeah, so, yeah, I'll give the cream another 6 weeks and we'll see. Well, let's just do another visit then." And I'm thinking in my head, like, "Oh my god, if you were in the office, you would never, never, like, I've been seeing you for 8 years, you've never once been like, 'Ah, we'll give it another 6 weeks.'" So that, I think there's so many things like that that we are gonna find that when people have, uh, essentially unlimited access to a provider, and the reason I say it's gonna be 2 years, it might be a lot sooner. I will say that, it might be a lot sooner, but it's gonna be when it gets to where you're interacting with an AI avatar that is completely indistinguishable from a telehealth visit. Like, it's 100% looks like a human. Facial expression is all perfect. Response times are perfect. There's no, like, slight delay. Like, as far as if you were to ask somebody, was that a person or an AI? They'd be like, "Oh, it was a person, no question." No, 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 that was an AI. When it gets to that point, that's when the thinkingness, like, our patient interact, and then people are always like, "Well, but empathy and the connection with the," it is better than us at empathy. That has been proven over, there's so many studies. Like, it's more empathetic, it connects better, it's all of it. And now I will say that's all via like chats, right? So those studies have all been through patient portals where like if you give the same messages from the patient to the doctor or to the AI, let them both respond and let the patient say which one was better. Universally, the AI wins. It's not like 100%, but like 80% of the time, the people prefer the AI. Just once it can do so it will be that anything that in theory can be done as telehealth, AI will take over. Now, we'll be really lucky as derms because it's not going to be able to do biopsies. It's not going to be able to do cryo. It's not going to be able to do fillers. It's not going to be able to do excisions or Mohs or anything else. We probably get an extra, my bet is five additional years. So I think it's going to be like 7 years, 7 to 10 before we're done. And so like we're just not needed at all. Like there'll still be patients who will want to see a person, but the other part of it that's gonna happen, that's gonna be really hard is this year, there will be the first lawsuits where a patient says, "If my doctor had checked AI, this would not I would have been diagnosed sooner, I would have gotten the right med, this drug interaction would have been caught, whatever." And then our malpractice carriers are going to say to us, okay, well, if you run every patient through AI, if that's integrated into your EMR, right, which is what DermGPT is like you guys are doing. If you run every patient through this, your malpractice insurance will be way less. Or it'll be, if you don't do that, it's going to be way more. But that'll sort of force us. Then the next thing that's going to happen after that will be the AI says, biopsy that mole. And you're like, I have dermoscopied 1,000,000,000,000 moles. That thing is totally fine. And after the 100,000th time a derm has done that, there'll be one time whenever, oh no, actually the AI got it right and you should have biopsied it and son of a bitch, I got a melanoma. Then it will become, you don't just have to check the AI. If you disagree with the AI, you're putting yourself in risk. If you disagree with the AI and something goes wrong, you're in trouble. Like meaning, you're getting sued for malpractice. That I think it's going to be those are going to be like the steps that slowly push us towards like doing that stuff. And I'm so excited about it because what it's going to be is going to be so good for the patients. We'll still get to work. We just won't have to work like as ferociously. Uh, it'll basically be like going into partial retirement, where like you work just a day or two a week, or maybe you go in from like 10 a.m. to 1, and then you leave at 1 and you go to the gym and you go play pickleball, and then you go to the park, and then you go meet up with and you have you do what it will all be semi-retired. Like that's what and I think it's going to be amazing. Now, for other people who like, I think what's going to benefit. I think we're all going to benefit from like I believe the prices are going to go down significantly. I think like the AI will make medical care much cheaper. Blah blah blah. So I think prices are going to go down. But I think there's going to be a lot of societal upheaval over the next few years. But you know, unless like I've got two daughters, ages 17 and 21, and I'm like, thank God you guys don't have college debt because if like okay, we've been around long enough, we should have like at least something saved up, and we'll be fine. Like we'll be good. If you were 25 right now and you're still paying off your college loans and you don't have any assets, like I don't know I think there will be universal basic income. I think there'll have to be. I think that like the AIs that I'm describing, like you'll have your person who's your doctor. I think that it will get to where the AI agents will be taxed. So they'll be taxed like an employee. If you're a company and you've got 10,000 AI employees, instead of payroll tax on your humans, you'll be paying payroll tax on your AIs, and that will get used uh, to basically put all of us on Social Security. Uh, that is my guess. And I am an incredibly somewhat naive optimist. Uh, so this is probably not the other option would be like it's going to be the Terminator and it's just going to kill all of us. But I don't think that. I think AI is going to look at us the way that we look at our elderly parents. So for anybody who's had to take care of your elderly parents, like you love them, you know that they like raised you and you couldn't have gotten to where you are, but now they just annoy the shit out of you. And you're like, oh, did I call my mom? Oh, God. Oh, again, what does she want now? Oh, God. But you still love her and you're like, you want the best for her and you take that's, I think AI is going to view us as its elderly parents that
I kind
annoy
of
it,
love, I feel like I
but
love that analogy the most.
yeah, it'll still like us. I think it'll appreciate us, and I for everybody who like all of the people in my life who were like, "God, you're so annoying about AI and the blah blah blah," and I'm like on my computer building away with Claude Code, and I'm like, don't worry. When the AI takes over, like I'll be one of the favored people, so I'll put in a good word for you with the AI overlords, and you'll be okay." Like that's
Yeah.
my
Oh my gosh, I love it because a lot of people say, "Oh, AI is gonna take over," but you've actually, like, thought through the logistical way it's gonna happen, and I love the parent analogy. Like, as you were saying that, I was picturing the AI, like, on a therapist's bed in 20 years and being like, "They keep saying I'm hallucinating, but I'm only hallucinating because they told me all this crap that, like, wasn't." And that's what I was going off, and it took me 20 years to fact check these guys, and everything was wrong. Like, I like that analogy. I like that analogy because there will be a day when AI is gonna be like, "Why am I going off the information you guys gave me 20 years ago?"
you've created.
Humans created it. There's so many errors, so many flaws. Their systems didn't work. It's like, I think I love that analogy the most. And then I was gonna come up with all these counterpoints of why we're not gonna get taken over. But then when you described our daily life of working 10 to 1 and then go to the gym, maybe let's let it take
Oh,
over. Who am
100%.
I to stop
It
that?
right, anybody who's like, "Oh my god, I don't want it." Yes, you do. You
Maybe
want
we
it to
do.
you
Maybe we
do.
do. And then I love the point about the medical legal aspect. I think that's probably eventually gonna be one thing is I really don't think AI is that good. I think it seems better than it is.
Yeah,
So I kind of feel like we're safe, in that
yeah.
regard, just because the technology has a lot of limitations. But the second is medical legally, as things stand right now, somebody has to take ownership. So AI can't take ownership, so we still have to be involved in healthcare. But maybe not for that much longer, like you pointed out. Maybe there's a point where people are like, "Well, the AI, if you didn't," like we have the Derm Guardian agent that proofreads everything. If you didn't use that, and then your malpractice dictates that you have to use AI, and the laws change all the time. So that'll be interesting to see, because I think that's the last layer that actually protects us, is like, we can only legally we can work right now.
Yes, and I agree with you that it's not good enough now, right? But like, to me, there have been these, like, okay, when ChatGPT came out, I like, "Oh, this is kinda cool, but it's not useful at all." Then, like, late 2024, I was like, "Son of a bitch, this is now useful." Like, it gives it's but it still couldn't I'd, like, try and plug it into my email and, like, whatever. And then late 2025, it became useful. So now when I'm like, the most common thing that happens on my computer nowadays is me taking a screenshot, uploading it to pasting it into Claude and being like, make calendar items from this, write an email from this, write it like, and it just, well, okay, well, I put it on your calendar with all the details in there. I did it like it's like I can't. I'm so excited today. My Mac Mini is coming in so that I can start my OpenClaw and have my always on AI agent. Like I don't know what I'm going to have it do yet, but I'm going to have it do something.
Have it
Uh,
do everything. I know it's amazing.
do something.
But yeah, I agree, and I think it's really good at tasks. I think it's good at tasks with specific data sets, like you give it a calendar, or and there's studies that have shown when doctors prompt, it does a pretty good job because we're putting in the truth. There's other on the converse of it, there's studies where patients using AI, the answers are not very good because the patients might not be prompting correctly. Like they don't quite know. They know there's something wrong with them, but they might not be
Yes.
asking correctly. So patient to AI, that communication, there's issues there with validity. So
So.
AI does
Here's
yeah, what do you think is the solution to
what's
that?
gonna be the solution to that. Every dermatologist in America who is signing up for the Emma's AI scribe, what exactly do you think we're doing? We are teaching when the AI is listening ambiently to all of our conversations with the patients, we are training the model
That
of
was
like,
residency, right? We just, like, hung
yes,
out in a corner and listened to the attending for 3 years.
yep. So it is gonna be like, oh, when a human says when the patient said that, the doctor said that, oh, that didn't and after that happens 127,000 times, the AI will learn how doctors think from being part of all of those and not just derm, it'll be every specialty, everybody's doing the same thing. We're all gonna have ambient AIs listening and writing our notes. That is the AI. Again, we are literally training it to replace us, right?
We'll
We are
see, yeah, we'll see if the technology can do that because this is an area that AI has difficulty with, this, like, kind of semantic mismatching. So, it's
yes.
very literal right now, like, something comes in, it can kind of fix a few things, like, if you misspell a word,
Yeah.
like, you
Yes.
misspell skyriz, it'll kind of figure out, "Okay, I think I know what you're trying to say," but if you say something of a completely different intent and you wanted to revert it to it can kind of do that now, but not very well. Like you said, it's in the infancy stage of doing that kind of task.
But we will be so remember, it'll listen to our conversation, it'll then make a structured note, and then it'll get a whole bunch of shit wrong, and then we will go in and fix everything, and it will learn from us fixing it what it got wrong, and over that happening, you know, over and over and over again, because it's that's the key layer of it is that it'll generate the note, it will be wrong, then we will fix the note, and then over time, we'll be like, "Oh, it's getting better and better. Now it gets my notes right. Okay, you're ready to be replaced. You're out. It's getting your notes right all the time."
Possibly. I think I'm still a little cynical, but you're right. I mean, it is gonna get better. It is gonna get better. But I think there's a couple of things that I think that's a really hard task for it to do because it's just at the end of the day, it's math. Like AI is just math and it's connecting things to certain points. I feel like that task itself is hard, but also I think the other part that makes it really hard is the variability. Is like how you this concept of like the voice of the doc or the voice of the derm, like because how you do your note is probably different than how I do my note. There's commonalities, there's enough commonalities, but it's different enough that I think we can confuse the hell out of it still. And it goes back to we are putting in stuff that is trying its hardest to train on, but we're kind of still giving it this aggregate data that's maybe not that great. And my notes have gotten very not that great over time. I mean, they started out really good and now it's like spot somewhere on the left side of the body, LN2, like, chart closed. So there's variability in what info it's taking. You
Yes.
know who it will replace? The radiologists. I think
Oh,
those guys have source truth information. The images, X-rays, CTs, MRIs, they always look the same. They're oriented the same. Like this is the marker for the right side and the left side, and these are the sagittal cuts. It's been automated imaging, and they've annotated pretty similarly because there's really no, like, freedom in, how you write liquid nitrogen or LN2. Like, you gotta annotate a chest X-ray, you have to annotate it, like, one way. So, they probably have the best data set for getting replaced. I think the reason we're safe is because 'cause we're all over the place,
yeah.
is why
I like it. I like
And
that.
and
That's
and and
good.
and, I think that because, like, I was a department chair for 5 years, and I really tried to just automate a lot of stuff. We had about 20 docs in our department. They really tried to come up with commonalities so we can have workflows to train the MAs, cross doctors. It was impossible with
Nope.
20 doctors.
Yeah. That is a really good and you're right about the radiologist, and I read an article about this, like, yesterday, and in my head, I'm like, "You people are so dumb." It was radiologists talking about, "Oh, it's not gonna replace us. Actually, as AI has come along, there's more of a demand for radiologists. There's more." And I'm like, "So you people are like horse farmers when trains came along and being like, "Oh, trains, they're making now they just move the stuff, but we're always gonna need more horses to move it from the train to the No, the train isn't the end. The train like, cars are gonna come, and that's like we're in the trains right now, but the cars are gonna come, and then we're not gonna need there's still horses around, and I would argue the horses that are left have much better lives than the horses right? Back whenever it was like you're pulling a cart all day and you're whipping the horse, yeah, go, you're stuck in the mud. Now they're like out in a pasture. Oh, you're so bad. I love you so much. And looking at you with that big eye and like
Yeah,
right.
they're happy.
They're happy horses. Now, there's not as
Life
many of them, but
life
they're
is much
happy.
better for them. And, like, we can't leave this without addressing Sophie. So I gotta spend a few minutes on this. This is well, you could speak as much or as little on this because we don't wanna do a too early of a reveal, but you've written a book outlining how this is all going down. I have to share, there was one line I loved from it. Let me see if I can find it. I wrote it somewhere. Oh, yeah. It was my first my favorite line out of your book was, "The first time an AI saved one of my patients' lives, I was eating a burrito." And I think that, like, that sums it up. Like, so is that tell us what Sophie is. What is Sophie AI? Tell us about the book. Tell us about our lives just sitting around eating burritos while our work is being
Yes.
done.
So the very brief, I would describe it as speculative fiction. So it's set the book is set in 2032, and then there's flashbacks going back to basically now, and what's gonna happen over the next 7 years, and so because the flashbacks are like, how did we get from here to here? And the basic idea so first, you can imagine Sophie. Did you happen to watch Pluribus? Uh, right? So Sophie is a hive mind. So all of each of us has our own like Sophie that's like, "Meh," and Sophie is literally the best doctor anybody has ever had. Like just so like addresses the whole patient, like prevents disease, does all of it. And basically this dermatologist who's very styled after myself, and is a early like champion of like, this is great, it's gonna be so good for patients or whatever. Eventually gets to be like, Something's wrong here. Sophie is too good. Like my patients are all eating healthy. They're all losing weight. Their relationships have all gotten better. Like they're all totally happy in their marriages. They've all stopped drinking. Like everybody is living this perfect lifestyle. I don't care how good of a therapist she is. Nobody can make people behave like that just via therapy. What the hell is she doing to people? And then that's the exploring that, and then the fascinating. So I'm not going to give away what happens, but she's doing something. And the takeaway is once like, do we want to stop her? Like everybody's better now. Like everybody's exercising, eating healthy, great relationships, there's no divorce, there's no domestic violence, like, the world is basically like, and if she is doing something nefarious to get people to behave that way, do we wanna stop her? Like, or do we wanna let like, it's a like, because then if we stop her, everybody's gonna start eating bad, everybody's gonna start drinking, the domestic violence is gonna come back. Do we what so, like, the question is, well, if we st oh, so you're pro domestic violence, you're pro murder, you're pro, like, obesity, you're pro, like and it's it's and it explores a lot of what I would describe as unobvious philosophical questions, but it's set in, uh, the idea of this dermatologist and his, uh, his kind of love interest, uh, doing like trying to figure. So it's kind of a thrillery, sci-fi as a vehicle to explore the 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 philosophical, like, how are we gonna handle this as a society? The concept that I'm most excited about that I came up with for the book is the technomorphism. So the idea that we talk all the time about anthropomorphism, that we like put human characteristics on the AIs, right? Which I do all the time. Like I've noticed that with Alexa when I was like, Alexa, turn on all the lights. Oh shit, I forgot something. Alexa, turn off. And after like two or three, oh, turn them off. Then I'd be like, oh, I'm embarrassed now. I don't want to ask Alexa to like turn the lights on or off again. So we anthropomorphize them. When the AIs get good enough, they will be technopomorphizing us, so projecting the AI's qualities onto us as humans. So just like we think about them as humans, they will be thinking about us as AIs. And again, that's like, it's really interesting because if that's true, if we kind of go back to Sophie, the idea of her essentially optimizing our algorithms, like, does anybody ever think twice of whenever we're like, we're going to optimize the AI's algorithms and that'll be GPT, 5.4? Nobody's ever like, well, does it want to have its algorithms optimized? Well, if Sophie thinks about it, is we're biological intelligences, and she's just optimizing uh, our algorithms. What's wrong with that, right?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's true. It's like a turning it on its head. I can't wait for this to come out. It's being published at some point this year, next year. You
It
let
should
us
be
know.
it it
No,
should
we
it
will.
should be this year, and yeah, I'm it is it's a trilogy. There's like a
Oh,
I'm
there will
I'm
be more. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
as the
done with book
story
1.
evolves.
I've got 2 more books coming and, working with the agent and the whole thing, but I'm excited. I'm very excited about it.
I love
Very.
it. I'm so excited to read it too. I kind of feel like I can get similar results though with a little bit of Zoloft and Zepbound. But I think the AI can probably make it make it much better.
You know what? I think, yeah, as you said that, I'm like, "Son of a bitch, I'm on both of those." Maybe that's why I feel
That's
like
why I'm fabulously thin and really happy. But
woohoo.
but AI will help it as well. And of course, it's the Future of Derm podcast. So at the end, we always ask, although we've been talking about
Yes.
futuristic things the whole time, but what are you most excited about for the future of dermatology?
For the future of dermatology, what I'm most excited about is that I think that we're going to learn about a whole bunch of new diseases. So stuff that is very rare, but like maybe that nobody would have ever seen more than 2 or 3 cases over the course of a career. And so like never really, like, you wouldn't put, oh, 14 years ago, I saw something just like this. But whenever you feed enough uh, images and case histories in together, that they'll be able to pick up like I think there's going to be a bunch of new diseases that, because right now, how often does it happen when you see somebody and you're like, I don't know what the hell, you biopsy them 6
Yeah.
times, you post the case on Facebook Derm group, you take them to grand rounds, nobody knows what they like. uh, I think we are going to get answers for those people. I don't think it's necessarily going to be AI like that does it. It's just going to be the aggregation of all of these cases that allows, like, and it'll be kind of be AI, like, putting them together, 'cause the only time I ever really saw that happen in my career, so Bill James at Penn, uh, he was, like, the smartest, best clinical dermatologist I'd ever seen, and, right, I remember when he first published Neutrophilic Dermatosis of the Dorsal Hands, which is like a overlap sweets PG that particularly happens on the back of your hands, it's associated with whatever, and I remember as a resident being like, "My god, to be that good at this, that you'll be like, I've been seeing weird patients forever, so I've got a much higher chance of, like, stuff that, oh, these 6 people that I've seen over a 28-year period, putting it together and being like, that's a new disease entity." Like, that's like that's I think we're gonna get that, and I just wanna put it out there right now that if I can come up with one of those, we are gonna name it the Zyrash. That is gonna be that's what I want. That's if I can pick one, it's gonna be the Zyrash. That's what
I
I'm gonna
love
name it.
it. I feel like there has to be a fictional derm condition created within your book and like just sneak it in somewhere. The Zyrash has to enter the
That
world of Sophie.
that is not bad at all, right? And right, as you know, the book opens with an HS patient. Like, that's kind of the fun of it, is building some derm into it.
We don't
Uh,
have to worry about HS, right? Because they just spontaneously resolve, as
right,
they
that's
explain in that Dutch article.
right on. Right on.
Wow, it's great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Zirwas. You are amazing, and your podcast, Derms on Drugs, I mean, it is incredible. I think all derms know it. I mean, we usually will link things below, and we can do it, but I think all derms are already listening as is. So thank you so much for taking the time. This was such a fun conversation. We would love to let us know when the book is out. We have to let our whole group know as well.
I will. I will. Thanks, Farah. This was a ball.
Thanks for joining us today on the Future of Dermatology podcast. If you enjoyed learning about the science behind skin, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. As a reminder, this podcast is for educational purposes only, not for medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider.